So I'm going to do something a little different this time. What I'm going to do, actually, I had planned to cover the main points in the beginning, kind of out of order a little bit, starting with the U.S. Economy and market forecasts, and then kind of cover as well the emerging markets, and then go through the detail. I'm still going to do that, but before that, actually, something came up about 20 minutes before this was scheduled. I happened to run across something, and I said, oh, I need to cover this, because if I don't cover it now, I probably won't get to it. I've got a list of thousands of things I wanted to speak about over the past couple of years, and I'll probably never get to most of them, almost all of them. So I did want to talk about this because obviously this is going to be related directly to this investment research. So what am I referring to? Well, took a look at our friendly boiler room, Yahoo Finance. And so, of course, you see all the nonsense here. And by the way, hopefully you all know this is all clickbait. This is all garbage. Don't ever click any of this crap, especially when they've got stuff like, should you buy? Right? Oh, time to buy. You missed out on NVIDIA? Well, this is an incredible stock. You should buy this one for much more upside. I mean, really? Think about it. I mean, you all know. I mean, these guys are all jugheads. They're trying to sell you their shit, their ads. These guys are all idiots. You all know this. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's all clickbait. It's all ad-based trash. So anyway, I was just going through here, another one. Billionaire bond king. Well, he's a billionaire. I've got to listen to him. He's going to help me. We know how he's a billionaire. It's not because he's a great investor. It's because he made money through fees, right? So I ran across, and I can't find it now, but it was towards the top. But I ran across this. This is directly related to what we've talked about. And here's the page link. So it was something around here, and here you go. Are stocks going to crash? This forecasting tool hasn't been wrong in 65 years, and it has a sobering message for Wall Street. Now, if you believe that, I've got some beachfront property to sell you in Dallas, Texas. Okay? If I don't know about it, it probably doesn't exist. And if it were true, don't you think everybody would be using this to forecast things, right? It's just common sense. But of course, these days, people are not, their ability to think clearly is decreasing by the day because of the internet and all the trash content out there. So I saw this and I was like, okay, let's see the type of bullshit they're talking about, because I knew it was going to be bogus. So they're basically making this case for the Conference Board's leading economic index. Now, I've talked about that, not a whole lot, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in the past 3 years or so. I don't really look at it much. And so anyway, this is what they claim has a 100% accuracy rate in forecasting. Now, of course, they don't forecast if stocks are going to crash. This is a forecasting metric that's used to indicate potential turning points in the business cycle. And of course, this is relevant to those of you in the Bootcamp Series 3, because we just talked about recently the economic and business cycle. So it's supposed to show when there's a turning point in the business cycle. In other words, from economic expansion to economic contraction. So does that necessarily mean if you spot that the stocks are going to crash? You understand the clickbait garbage? What do you expect from Motley Fool? Boiler room garbage, scam. Historically flawless forecasting tool. That's what they claim. Anyway, complete nonsense. So never been wrong. It's never been wrong. Never. So anybody know what's wrong with this claim, by the way? Anybody know? The reason why I'm posting this? First of all, if this leading economic index does forecast a turn in the economic cycle. That doesn't necessarily mean stocks are going to crash. Second of all, it hasn't been accurate 100%. That's just nonsense. It's once again, if it were 100% accurate, don't you think everybody and their grandma would know about it and the media would always talk about it and everybody would harp on it, right? For instance, one of the most pervasive perceived indicators of a recession is the inverted yield curve, right? You're always hearing about that. And of course, I've shown that it's not true what they're saying. Oh, it's almost perfect, right? It's complete nonsense. And that's one reason why everybody fell into this recession trap. That's something that the media harps on all the time, is the inverted yield curve, right? Yet their claims aren't true. You don't hear about leading economic index, you see. So that should tell you right there that it's that alone should tell you that it's just not really recognized as such, as being as such. But anyway, the point I want to make is think about it for a second. You've got this boiler room trash. Folks, let me just tell you something. Let me just tell you right now. If you're ever going to pay attention to any of this media, financial media trash, it's going to impact how you utilize and interpret my research adversely. Remember, I'm not there pulling the trigger on what you're doing. You're pulling the trigger on your investments based upon your cumulative thoughts and understanding and how you want to do things. And if you are paying attention to the financial media, it is going to impact you. And you're probably not going to even realize it. It's going to impact you subconsciously. Now, I'm not perfect. I don't get everything right. But one thing I think is pretty damn good to note, and that is this. Do you think you have a better chance picking and choosing what financial media, insight, or whatever talking head, which of those guys are going to be right over what period of time and when? In other words, take a look at the guys they have out there. They're all jokers and clowns, right? But they can't get everything wrong, right? At some point, they're going to get something right. The question is, do you have the ability to determine that from each of those sources? You're just like throwing darts. You can't do it. Versus if you find someone who is not perfect, but pretty damn reliable, right? That single individual, you're better off sticking with that individual. Even if that individual, myself, is wrong, is flat out wrong, because I'm going to be flat out wrong. I haven't been flat out wrong since I've been doing this research in terms of predicting what's going on in the economy and the stock market, right? I don't think I've been flat out wrong ever since I've been doing this. In fact, most recently, while Wall Street was flat out wrong, I came out in June of last year and forecast a bull market going forward when Wall Street was still on the recession table, still worried about a collapse, right? You all know that. In fact, let me just go ahead and mention, I was thinking about this. I'm going to give a $300 credit for the person who submits the best write-up showing Wall Street and be completely objective, okay? Showing from 2022 what Wall Street was talking about, all the firms you can note, the dates, what they were saying, their forecasts, right? And 2023 as well, versus my research. And that would include, of course, prior to 2022 with my research, because of course you all remember the piece I put out about the stock bubble that I thought had 1.5 to 2 years left in late 2020, in the fall of 2020, right? So we were already prepared for that. So I'm going to give a person, whoever submits the best, the most accurate, and I'm going to give you guys, it's better to give you shorter, say 1 month. I could say let's say 2 months, okay? Now, if I only get one submission or two submissions and they're not good or good enough, then nobody wins, okay? Nobody wins. So it's got to be good. Obviously, the $300 credit for towards anything that any research, anything like that. That's obviously, it's probably not going to be the best use of your time from a the standpoint of the effort. However, obviously, it's going to help you understand a lot of things, right? So it's actually good for you to do. I'm just throwing, I mean, you all should be doing this anyway. I'm just throwing that kicker out there to incentivize you guys, okay, to do that. So, you all have my research, go through all that, because I want you to see. And by the way, the same thing happened during, of course, or prior to the financial crisis, as you recall, right? So let me get back to the point here. Why is this all important? It's important because, think about it. This is the conference board. Remember the geniuses this is their leading economic index. If it's flawless and it hasn't been wrong in 65 years, why did the Economic Conference Board come out in early or mid 2022 and claim there was going to be a recession by the end of 2022? Remember that? And then they pushed it forward when we didn't get a recession in 2022. They pushed it to 2023, early 2023. And then remember, I talked about how they kept pushing it forward mid and then late 2023. Remember that? Anybody, you all remember that, right? I covered it in the research. Remember? Everybody and their mother was calling for a recession. Now, my viewpoint was not necessarily, but there was certainly a chance. My point is that, this is research. You change your forecast potentially based upon new information, right? And that's what I did. But you can't be a broken clock. This is the conference board. Why is the conference board a broken clock? They were a broken clock. They kept with their garbage throughout, just like Mike Wilson, Morgan Stanley, as I've talked about. So let me refresh your memory here. By June of 2022, remember, this was after the Fed had cut rates by, I guess this was maybe 3 times, right? March, 25 basis points, and then I think May and June, 50, 250s was it? I can't recall. But the Fed was already cutting rates. And you can see nearly 2/3 of top CEOs expect a recession by the end of 2023. And part of this, take a look, see, was connected to the conference board. See that? So we didn't get a recession in 2022. We didn't get a recession in 2023. So let's take a look at this one now. So here is September 2022. You all recall what was going on during that period? Maybe I should show you a market chart here to remind everybody. This was about a month before the stock market bottomed. Remember that? When I came out with my bottoms, my bottom on the S&P, Dow, and the NASDAQ. Dow was 28, around 28,000. S&P, I can't recall, 46, 45, and the NASDAQ 10,100. Remember that? I came out with those in the late spring, May, June of 2022. You all recall, right? And we hit those targets in October 13th, 2022. A month before that, the conference board was already calling for a recession by the end of 2022. See this? So here's when the conference board, 14th, here's when they're fear-mongering. You see? Close to the bottom. And we didn't get a recession, right? So let's take a look here. You might recall, yeah, this is the same. So there was a 96% likelihood of a recession. That was their call in September, and over the next 12 months. So they kept pushing it forward. You all understand the full picture here? Just showing you what boiler room trash these idiots in the financial media selling ads. Ad-based content is a scam designed to screw the audience. That's a fact. I've been proving it now for more than 15 years. And this is proof positive. Who's going to know this, what I'm telling you guys? When you read this article, who's going to know this? Who else in the world is going to know this instantly? So I took a look actually at the conference board because you know what? I was looking for to see if I could find what, hey guys, what's going on? I mean, when you're going to throw in the towel, right? And take a look. What's the outlook for the economy? Has our forecast changed in the past months? Well, guess what? They don't want to show you. They don't want to publish it. You see that? They're hiding it now. Fucking losers. You all know who the conference board is? The conference board is the establishment. It's one of the establishment groups. It's closely linked to the Federal Reserve, closely linked to all this kind of mafia guys that run everything, and including Washington. In fact, they present to Washington. Now, so I took a look at the website because I'm looking for to see, what their latest thing is. It's the same thing with what I told you guys about Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is kind of keeping their mouth shut now. What's the deal, guys? S&P 4200? I mean, that's your 2024 forecast. What's going on? You see, they kind of drift into the sunset, right? They just kind of, you don't hear about them anymore. So I took a look at the site and I was like a little bit shocked, but not shocked. But then it's like, okay, I get I see it. You all know what's going on. It's all about this diversity, equity, inclusion. So this is the CEO of the conference board. So here's the conference board meeting with Department of State. Look at this. So you have these people patched into Washington. I mean, this is disturbing to me. Now, clearly, I'm sure there's some fairly competent people underneath her that do the work. She's the figurehead because, you've got to put women there. You got to put people of color there or you're racist. Forget about credentials. The point is that nobody cares who you put in a position of authority as long as they're qualified, right? I don't think anybody cares if they're black, white, purple, yellow, orange, or green. Nobody cares. Where people care is when you're getting people promoted in positions that don't belong there based upon their race. That's racism. Not only is that racism, that's incompetence. You see? And this is part of the problem with corporate America, all the leadership there. Not all of it, but most of it. So I just wanted to point this out. It's very important. And once again, I'm offering a $300 credit to the best write-up on, looking at 2022 through the end of 2023 in terms of what Wall Street was saying, recommending their forecasts, mainly on the market because that's all that matters. But of course, also the conference board versus what I was saying. It's got to be good enough though. Okay. So, and I think that you'll learn a lot. Hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I mean, show me somebody else. Show me someone. If there is, I'll just call it quits and follow them. Now, I'm not here to say that things would be any different if this lady was not in her position. If they had one of these knuckleheads, would it be the same? Yeah, it would be. It would be. Probably anyway. I think a normal person that knows what's going on, if they look at this situation, they're not going to give the conference board any credibility. Just because they're assuming, which we can't prove it, but I'm quite positive, I'm willing to bet that she's not qualified to be leading this organization, even though I'm sure she's going to have the typical degrees and all this nonsense. But you guys can look into it. Just go on the conference board's website. You'll see this. That's where I'm at here. So I was asking, how does this rank to the NBER? It's all the same. These people are it's kind of like the media. Okay. All these people that are so naive to think, oh, well, this person is, no, they shuttle back and forth between networks. This is the establishment network. So they shuttle back and forth. They go, some of them will end up or have been previously worked at the CBO or OMB, right? Or the Fed or the NBER. It's a little club, you see? It's a club. Someone's saying Jordan Peterson is now pumping uranium stocks and making false interviews on his channel. Well, are you surprised? He interviewed Peter Schiff, so he was going down that road. You all know he's in uranium stocks, Rick Rule and all those, Doug Casey and all those scam artists. So maybe I'll have a chance to go over that in the future. This is, folks, this is why it's important to know, to be able to spot these con artists, you see. And once again, it's easy. If they have a lot of exposure, you can write it down. It's not to help you, because you know who controls exposure. It's all to exploit the people. Jordan Peterson is a complete fraud, and all these people fall for this guy. It's just sad. Anyway, let's move on to the research now. terms of getting back as an investor, if it's coming down to here, almost irrespective of what's going on, I have to believe, if I have to make a call in advance, and of course I can change depending on what happens, but I have to believe this is where you want to start doing that 18, 17, around there. Their earnings report is a complete game changer, at least for quite a while. Bottom line, NVIDIA now is going to enter the realm of Tesla, Apple, and all these other big, I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works. I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works.